You ever wake up to the kind of noise that rattles your bones, and you just know deep down something's about to go sideways? That was my Tuesday. I heard diesel engines growling outside, shaking the glass like a minor earthquake. At first, I figured maybe the garbage truck was making its rounds, but the way those vibrations came in waves? Now this was something else. By the time I stepped onto my porch, still in my battered boots and a faded 82nd Airborne shirt, it was already too late. There they were, 3 massive construction trucks, all freshly painted, HOA logo plastered across the sides like some kind of warning. No heads up, no letter, no email, not even a neon sticky note on my door. They just barreled down my gravel path, rolled over the border stones my late wife and I laid ourselves, and parked smack on my lawn, like they owned the place. See, I don't live in one of those manicured homes with matching hedges and a color palette approved by a committee. My house sits on the outskirts, on a 2-acre patch that's been my little refuge since long before the subdivision ever crept this far out. I built it with my own 2-hand small house, greenhouse, tidy garden where I grew everything from heirloom tomatoes to lavender. This land, it's the last piece that hasn't changed, even after life did its best to upend me. But here they were, strangers in orange vests, trampling across everything like it meant nothing. I stormed down the drive, heart in my throat, arms waving like a madman. Clipboard guy with mirrored sunglasses barely looked up, just clearing a path for the utility extension. He called, voice flat. Already moving on. What utility extension? This is my property. I yelled back, but he just shrugged, check with your HOA. We've got approval. Approval for what? I could see concrete cylinders and rolls of black pipe being offloaded. A grader scraping a 10-foot wide trench across the edge of my garden, tearing up my sprinklers, the rose bushes, every inch I'd cared for. I tore back inside, found the HOA directory, punched in the board president's number. She picked up quick, Karen McTavish speaking. I told her, your trucks are on my land. She actually chuckled, oh, Mr. Cole, that strip's a community easement now. It was added last year, you should have gotten the notice. I hadn't gotten a damn thing. This isn't an easement, it's in my deed. I shot back. She gave this breezy, practiced laugh. Check your mailbox, Mr. Cole. Everyone was notified. My hands were shaking not from fear, but a kind of hot, electric rage. You know what I mean? I'd crawled through fire and sand in Fallujah, and I wasn't about to get bulldozed by some neighborhood tyrant named Karen. She said it was a temporary inconvenience for long-term improvement, some new drainage channel, and a walking path. Property values across the board, she said. I didn't vote for that. Well, you weren't at the meeting, she replied, like it was my fault for missing a notice locked inside the clubhouse. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. That night, I barely slept a couple hours, at most, dozing in a lawn chair under what was left of my greenhouse, listening to the drip of busted irrigation hoses. In the morning, thermos of black coffee in one hand and my deed in the other, I parked outside the county recorder's office. I laid out every document, original plat map, supporting paperwork I'd kept for 15 years. The clerk, Beth, looked it over. Who says this is community easement? I told her. They can say the sky is green doesn't make it true. She pulled up the latest GIS maps, compared my papers. My lot, 47B, was still private property. No easement, no zoning update, nothing. You own up to that split oak tree, she said. Everything west of it is yours. I exhaled slow, steeled myself I had enough to fight back. Back home, the trucks were still out there. Fewer now, but enough to make a statement. And now, 2 HOA volunteers were there, clipboards, little lanyards, looking smug. I walked right up to one, older guy with sunglasses too big for his head. You're trespassing, I said. He tried the whole sir. This development was board-approved routine. Show me the permit, I demanded. He blinked, stammered, it's through the city planner, the HOA coordinates. I cut him off. You're on private land, not HOA land. I just confirmed it with the county. He wilted fast, more messenger than soldier. That afternoon, I drafted a cease and desist letter, dropped it at the HOA office. I wanted them to cross one more line to have it on record. Sure enough, that evening Karen called syrupy sweet, but cold underneath. You're mistaken about your property, she tried. I told her I'd just come from the county. She quoted Article 4, Section 2 of the HOA expansion, Some technicality about the community access corridor. I shot back. You can't override county lines with a board meeting, Karen. This isn't just shady, it's illegal. She threatened legal action. I told her, you've given me no choice. She asked, build what? I hung up. I wasn't building a structure that required permits, I was building a message. That night, I dug out my old military drafting kit, blueprints, T-square. By midnight, I had to design a memorial wall, just inside legal spec, no foundation, just steel barriers, motion lights, a flagpole. At first light, the trucks returned, but this time, I was ready. I watched them roll right over my last lavender bed. One truck even got stuck in mud I'd watered the night before. As their backhoe hit my old irrigation line, a geyser of water burst sky high. Workers scrambled, a truck got sucked down into the muck. I just watched, arms crossed, and laughed not out of joy, but a kind of grim satisfaction. By noon, my yard was a disaster zone, stuck vehicles, broken pipes, and now, Karen McTavish herself showed up, stomping through the mud in boots worth more than my monthly groceries. She tried to bark orders, threatened legal consequences. I pointed to the stuck trucks and said, does this look like progress to you? For a moment, she actually looked scared. You'll hear from our legal team, she snapped. I look forward to it, I said. So will mine. That's when everything shifted. Neighbors I'd barely spoken to stopped by. Mrs. Patel offered to have her husband, a paralegal, look over anything I planned to file. Mr. Hillman brought lemonade, muttered, they've gone too far. Suddenly, I wasn't standing alone. The wall went up fast, recycled steel, motion lights, an American flag I'd carried through 2 tours overseas. I sent the HOA my deed, zoning code, a letter from an old Army buddy who worked in city planning now, confirming I was in the clear. The HOA doubled down, violation letters, fines, photos of my wall with a red marker circling the flagpole, which apparently exceeded visibility height, whatever that means. This wasn't about code, it was about control. But the neighborhood rallied. People brought supplies, helped with construction, shared drone shots on Facebook. Even the local news covered the story. The HOA sent more violation letters, tried to send board members onto my property. I met them at the gate. You need a warrant. They backed off, muttering threats. Then, a FOIA request turned up emails. Karen had been negotiating with a developer, promising my land as a shortcut for their project, assuming I'd just roll over. It all snowballed: subpoenas, an audit, news vans lining the curb, neighbors waving. The wall now standing as both tribute and warning. The HOA's office got shut down, board members started resigning. Karen tried to salvage her image by going door to door, but folks wouldn't even open up. When she tried to serve me with a restraining order, I calmly pulled out my phone, recording every word. She turned and left without another sound. By the time the dust settled, the city closed its investigation, the HOA board got restructured, and Karen sold her house in the dead of night. The wall still stands, lavender growing again, a bench beneath the eagle where neighbors gather for coffee, old veterans swap stories, and kids chalk up the sidewalk. It's not just about land anymore. It's about community, about standing up even when it's easier to stay quiet. And every now and then, someone asks me why I built that wall. I just smile and say, because somebody tried to take what wasn't theirs, and I had to remind them it never belonged to them in the first place. So here's what I want to know: what would you do if they came for your garden, your little piece of peace? Would you fight back? Or would you let them roll right over you? Drop your thoughts below, tell me where you're watching from, and let's talk about justice, boundaries, and what it really means to stand your ground. Because sometimes, you don't just defend your home, you remind the world what home really is.